All right, so welcome to the East class. We're going to have two parts for this class. One is more taking in, and the other one will be with more practical and even more hands-on. And later we'll even have a Q&A session that you can bring extra questions or things that you feel like weren't covered if you have any other questions. So that's how we're going to go through each of our modules, each of our 7 modules. So that said, still today's class, if there's anything coming up for you, please share. I'm excited to announce Allison here with us, who will share more with us in the second class, and she's bringing in wisdom from Kabbalah and Judaic teachings that connect us to everything that we're studying. Along with just her own channeling, which is very, very beautiful and unique. So I'm excited to have this collaboration. Thank you, Allison. So to start with, close your eyes. Take a big inhale, filling up the chest all the way up to the top of your head, and then exhaling out through the mouth. Now connect with your root chakra all the way where your legs meet, and inhale from the root chakra, starting to bring up the air as a spiral, going up, 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 all the way as much as you can to the top of your head if you can, or wherever it lands, and then exhale out through the mouth. And again, now you're going to try to connect to even deeper, the core of the earth. So that's below the root, trying to draw a cord all the way from the root to the core of the earth, and then starting to spiral your breath up and up and up. And exhale out through your mouth. So the east, this is the place of a rising sun. And for me, I remember the first beautiful sunrise I've seen was in Mount Sinai, actually. Walking up as, I think, a 10-year-old girl, looking at the beautiful pinks and purples from one hand and the top of the mountain. And then how everything is still dark on the other side. It always fascinated me, that beautiful blanket, that dark blanket of the night starting to dissipate as the sun rises with its colors. And that's where I would like you to meet me today, at the top of a mountain. It could be Mount Sinai, or it could be any mountain, one you know, or maybe one you only encounter in your dreams. And find a nice place to sit and just look at the sunrise. Inhale those beautiful colors as they're coming into you. As the earth starts showing its energy body in its full, beautiful spring. This is how we feel in the east direction. Already starting to feel how we are the mountain and we're also the sunrise. And we are the ones sitting on the mountain watching the sunrise. Now start feeling as though you're able to float around the mountain, just surveying it. And we're looking for a nook, like a little cave that's not made for humans but for birds. They'd say the eagle, the condors, the big birds, they choose to make their nests on top of big mountains. And find that bird's nest. And as you find that nest, look for the egg. Even look at how many eggs are there in this nest. And what is the bird that is nesting? It could be an eagle or any other big bird. This will be your messenger, your guide through the east direction. you start seeing how one of these eggs starts cracking. And as it cracks, a little bird comes out. Happy birthday, little bird. This little bird is you, is your journey ahead. And fast-paced as time is only an illusion, this bird already starts learning how to fly. And it reaches the edge of the mountain, ready to take its first flight. In 1, 2, 3. And it starts flying, but although the wings are so small yet and maybe some wet, she starts spiraling down, all the way down, all the way down, until she finally lands on the earth in this beautiful grassy space. As she lands there on the grass, her mother bird comes and picks her up. And it says to this bird, "Let me take you up to how you will look like. This is only the beginning of your journey. You have just woken up. You didn't fall, you have descended to touch the earth, to give the earth its first kiss." In this very special day, this mother bird is going to take her little bird all the way up, spiraling up, up and up and up, and it passes the mountain and it goes above the clouds. And it reaches this beautiful place, this pink cloud where we can land. And on this cloud where we land, there we meet an angel. And this angel is holding a beautiful white golden chest. This chest will hold within it this beautiful orb that will show you the end of your journey, the end of this journey around the medicine wheel. It will show you how you will hold all the directions together and what you will be able to start doing or forming with that remembrance, with that newfound knowledge. When you are ready, you're going to ask the angel to give you the chest and open it up. And a big light starts coming out. Allow yourself to be immersed by that light. And on the other side, maybe this is a year, 2 years, 10 years from now, maybe just a few months, you're going to be seen a scene. Where are you? Who are you with? How are you feeling there? Especially, how are you feeling in your heart space? Do you feel proud? Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel in awe? What are you doing? Are you doing acts of service? Are you doing your full purpose in life? Are you giving your gifts? Do you feel like there is a platform for it? Do you feel loved? Who do you love? This is a destiny retrieval, and you get to choose to pick it up. And so when you're ready, ask the angel to forge a crystal, a diamond, or a precious stone from this future memory. carves it out from air. It gives you this beautiful stone. Now you can take your hand and make these rotations around your heart, counterclockwise rotations, to open up your heart space, to open up the heart chakra. And bringing your hearts and hands together, bring in that precious stone. Take it in. Knowing that today you are taking the first step onto this destiny. And with that, ask the angel to give you a message, something that can help you as you forget, as you go through this trail. Maybe a sentence or a word that reminds you of this destiny you have seen. Now you can close the heart chakra with this energy, rotating your hand above it with clockwise rotation, sending all the light and love back to you. And as you do so, you're going to come back to that bird's nest. Place that precious stone near the eggs. Remember the bird that you have seen that is your guide. And now slowly, as you descend down from the mountain, bring your energy back fully into your body, into the here and now, as you're ready to start taking in the east direction. Refreshed, excited, looking forward to what's ahead. Yay. Thank you. If you need a couple of minutes or so just to write things down, I love doing sharing and hello, and for you to get to know each other as you're going to be colleagues and comrades around this wheel. So I would love to hear from whoever's ready to jump first to just share. I think the most important is the message, if you've gotten one, the type of bird or the bird you got, and maybe one other detail that you feel like sharing with the group. So that will remind you and also us of this journey. I can call you out, but it's better if someone is like ready.
Oh,
So you can
well.
jump. Yay, thank you.
I'm so grateful to be here today and to be with such wonderful people. So thank you, Hila. Um, I the bird was a vulture. There were three eggs, and the message was let go. So yeah, is that what we needed to share?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do was and also I think just the last thing I guess is how did you feel? I think the feeling of the heart. How did you feel when you were given the future memory?
Um, Felt loved, and like it wasn't so much. The word that's coming to me is openness, but it was kind of like a combination of open and free. So yeah.
Beautiful. So I love these words too, open and free. Good. Um, So this is also recorded, but I hope you're taking notes of that because, as I said before, we're going to start also collecting stones, and it's okay. Maybe you have them already, and then there's one that you feel already called that will be connected for today's class, and those are the messages or the really the healings. The stone is called a kuya, like a healing stone. So that's the medicine that that stone will carry. We'll talk about it more later, but just already giving you the scoop so you understand. And maybe again, if you already have some stones, or you can already bring it and have it sit with you today as we start. Thank you, Natasha, for going first. Um, okay, and I'm also, yeah. So who wants to go next? Everybody's invited. Ronit, maybe see it. Wait, unmute yourself if you haven't, if you tried. There we
Hey
go.
everybody. Okay,
Hi.
so I have like always like weird connection um to this kind of journeys. I mean, it always take me to like weird places. So I feel a little bit weird to talk about it. Um so I don't know the kind of the bird. I mean, I didn't it's not something, familiar. Maybe I will look later, what was it? And when I came to the cloud, um, first of all, when you talked about the box, uh, uh, um, olive branch just, came to my mind, exactly when you told something about the white um, box, I don't know how you call it, and like really traditional, like magician, with the blue hat, like from children books, gave it to, was holding it, and I thought about olive branch, and then when I opened it and there was a light, I from the bird I became. Uh, there was a woman that was like hireling, really, really thin one, and I'm not thin person. And then I saw her sitting on her knees, and there was a man underneath her, and she was doing something with her hands above him. And the stone that I got was a gray one, gray and really like uh, raw, raw gray, light gray stone. I don't know what it is. And I had a weird feeling. I mean, it was not like happiness and light and stuff like that. It was um, I don't know. It was something weird. So this is me.
Beautiful, interesting. And if I can, like the feeling that you got, if it's weird, it means that it's really taking you to a whole new space that you probably
Yeah.
are feeling that you might not be familiar with. That's so exciting. Thank you for sharing. And you mentioned the color of the rocks. I'll say one thing when I first started a medicine wheel, actually I was in LA and without knowing anything, I just went to a crystal shop and just like picked up the different stones. I was told I needed 12 or maybe even less at the time. And I just picked up some. So now, even if you don't have it, for example, this is a great thing to do until the next class to go and find it. You can just go to a crystal shop. We need smaller ones, something that is not too heavy. Um, so that's just a recommendation and just pick all the ones. And for the next classes also, you'll be like, oh, it's this one. So that's a
Okay.
recommendation if you don't have them yet. It's fun.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Ronit. Anyone else ready to share?
Yeah. So I must say I went into this class a bit delayed and stressed, so I felt like um maybe I couldn't drop into this journey fully, but also I saw a lot. I don't know. But so the bird was a hawk, which I already have for quite a while as a guide, and now it's the direction of the east. Okay. And I got a very, very shiny blue stone very intense color. That was beautiful. And I felt for the visions and also the messages, I was a bit jumpy. It wasn't clear, like I was a bit all over the place. I saw myself in the picture we already had as a destiny retrieval, like in a setting with my horses and lots of people around and much older, I guess, with children and somewhat retreat healing ceremony. I'm not so sure. But then I also jumped forward and there were the horses again. And I was definitely a practitioner and working in that field, but it wasn't so clear. Didn't see so clear. And also the feeling with usually I feel a lot and excitement and love and whatever, and I felt a bit numb, to be honest. I didn't feel so much in this journey today, but that might be my current how I got in. I don't know. So I was a bit like maybe even frustrated that I didn't feel this full love or full excitement. But yeah, that's what it was.
That's okay. You need to feel what you feel, and that's good. And also, Lisa, you mentioned we've already done a destiny retrieval, so maybe it was more like trying not to take away from it. Maybe it's just bringing you back to it and reminding you of it. So I also want you to maybe go back to that and connect. That's
Hmm.
what I'm thinking too. Okay, thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
I can share. I'm off
Oh,
the
you
bus.
did it? Hello. You ever like
I did it on the bus. That's so funny. I had to like open my eyes every so often to make sure I was not missing my bus stop. Um, so
Nice.
I had these like three blue spotted eggs, and my bird was not a typical journey bird. I got a blue jay, which I'm from Canada originally, so I was like, okay. But then when I hatched, I was a gold bird. Um, and in the vision, I was in some kind of like dances medicine ceremony, and there was like a really strong feeling of community. The word community came to me. And then also there were there was two masculine hands behind my back. And so there was like two kind of components to the vision. And it wasn't in too far in the future. It was like, a few months' time. And then the stone was like this pink stone. It wasn't like a rose quartz. It was more like the color was more saturated. And and then I put it in my heart, and then the color the feeling was like this warmth, and the message was something like you're welcome here. And then when we were closing on the mountain, it was like the kind of like the prismatic colors of the sunrise like on my face. That was how I ended the vision.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And also it's okay to have two different birds. That's exactly I was preparing for this class. I knew that some will have more than one. Like it's about all the birds and like we're starting to build our totem here. So we're starting with the air element and the birds that are connected to the air and for some of us it's more, but also remember it was like the mother bird and then there was what's coming, what's hatching, and this was only one egg. So even notice how many eggs you had. This is like the different projects or the different paths. We're looking at the paths, like maybe there's three paths already. And yeah, they don't all have to be the same. So the mother bird can be, different than the baby bird. So
Mhm.
something that came to mind. Thank you for sharing and being an awesome spiritual warrior, journeying on the bus. Thank you.
It's the Magic
Any
School Bus, if you didn't know about it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Brianna, you wanted to share?
Yeah. First, when I was on the mountain, I couldn't like bring myself to be like the person in the mountain. Like I was just like watching myself. So that was interesting. It was an eagle. That feels cliche, but it was an eagle. That I caught 5 golden eggs. And
Going to go Brianna.
I'm in a class, baby. Why are you not sleeping? Can you say hi to everybody? This is
Hi,
Rafa.
Shalom.
Yes, little puppy.
Yeah, he's the Ish with the Patish. My baby bird turned into Chloe when she hit the ground, and it was really cute, actually. And then the vision was like just a big open field and people dressed in white, just being free and happy. And I was just like an old woman watching this community, and I felt like a feeling of satisfaction. So that was cool. The stone I got was like an opal or a pearl. It was like an opal that turned into a pearl, so white.
Hi,
The
Danielle.
Very buckles.
מה?
Thanks.
Very buckles.
היא בקורס.
Yeah.
In the
Yay.
day.
Yep. Okay. I'm
נכון.
gonna turn my audio off.
I'm glad we have more participants here, some male energy. Thank you. Right? It can't be all girls. Thank you, guys. You're welcome to hang out at the course if you want. So obviously you got an eagle, Brianna. That's okay. And 5 eggs, that's ambitious. So it makes sense that you saw it like all the way like you're much older. I think it was also a message like, hey, it's all gonna be okay. Look how satisfied you're going to be in the end. So that's really cool. Thank you for sharing. Allison, do you want to share? Were you able to journey?
Yeah,
Just
it
checking.
was amazing.
Yay.
Also, I'm here with Miriam.
Oh, yay. Another one. I'm glad. See, Natasha, you could have brought Dylan in. Is he in?
He's around.
Good.
I got really excited when, first of all, hi everyone. It's nice to meet you all. And thanks, Hila, for including me. So I like don't know exactly why, but I decided that this painting was going to be behind me, which was I painted it was Mount Sinai. So when I heard you take us there, I got so excited. First of all, you've actually been there when you were 10, and that I felt the energy that I painted this last week of Mount Sinai, and he last saw it last week also. So I felt it's has some energy here. I also saw the eagle and I saw 7 eggs, but I knew that there were other birds, so I'm glad that you brought that in. And when I when the angel showed us the chest, there was I guess the first place you said was like a location. Did you say a location? Or that's just what, like, where were you? So what came to me was Tel Aviv, and I live in Haifa and I'm more from the north. So when I heard Tel Aviv, my heart kind of sunk a little bit. It's not like my comfort place. And then at the end of the journey, what I got was there was something I was doing singing there. And then the crystal became like a music note, which I was excited about. And then the phrase that held me was when I first played this album that I wrote to my teacher. So I was in her living room, and that's like kind of what I sealed and kept with me, which wasn't such like a positive experience in her living room when I was playing that music. So I'm curious, like why that was that was the stamp. So we'll see.
Wow, yeah, very interesting. And that reminds me of what we talked about probably, well, maybe for this as well, but Allison and I spoke about how we might just do like a musical, like a music, like a song for the next class, like when we work with you, Allison, as well, like with whatever comes up. So that's just, I feel for me strengthens that, like how we need to bring and weave in song and music into this. I also
Yeah.
jammed a bit before we started, so thank you.
Oh,
We'll
nice.
see where it
Nice.
goes.
Thank you. I loved it.
Beautiful. Toda. Okay, this is fun. And this is recorded and right in the beginning of class, right? So in case you do want to journey again, now that you know better and you're not stressed or whatever it is, feel free to journey again and see what else unfolds. Maybe you want to open another egg, right? You had different eggs. We worked with one. So see what the other eggs bring. Um, and then also, lastly, before I start with like, the presentation, I do want to check in here, and you can let me know. So later or now, I want to make a WhatsApp group. I know there's a lot of groups, but I want to make a WhatsApp group for all of us. And then there we can also share from our in-between journeys. And I guess I'm gonna do that, I think. So just let me know if you don't want to be on it. And if you do, if it's okay, then I'll start it up right after this call. And yeah, then you can also share extras of your journeys or anything else that comes up from the material we're learning today. Okay? Sounds good. יש שאלה? כן? רגע, אני.
I just want to make sure, I mean, because you're recording the sessions and stuff, and I want to feel, comfortable, to share. So,
Mhm.
I mean, if you will, I mean, if you're planning to,
Mm.
to use this, you know, to use it, I'm asking, I mean, not to put whatever I'm saying.
That's a great question. Great question. So basically, I do think that after this course, I might just take the meditations, the lessons, and I
Of
will
course,
keep the recordings. But anything that's sharing or us speaking, this I am recording for example, like Brew is not here with us, or if you want it, so it
of
is
course.
recorded and shared only with this class. Afterwards, I probably will like just get the stuff, but without you in it, definitely like I'm not sharing anything personal. But as long as you're happy sharing with this group, that's what's important. This closed
Okay.
group. Okay? Great. Thank you for the question. Brianna?
Just to add on that, I have my note taker here because what it does is it just summarizes and creates a space to work with the material. But it's only gonna be me using that. Like I'm not sharing it in any way. So I just wanted to comment on that.
Great, thank you. And Brianna's also going to work on getting us a cool workbook or, so she's our main note taker as well. But I still recommend you take notes throughout if this helps you absorb the material, but we'll have Brianna with her notes. And I also save summaries from this, and you'll have all the PDFs and the recording. So a bunch of stuff. Just stay as present as you can. Yeah, so now for the time we have left, I'm going to jump into the material. That's really exciting, but could also be dry. So see if right as I'm like doing the share and everything, this is a good time if you want to grab water, run to the bathroom, something like that, as we're moving to the other half, I guess, of class today. Just know this will be a good time. I'm going to start setting this up. Mm, is it working? Right. Share. There we go. Got this. Um, mm, great. Okay, here we go. The east direction. Drum roll. So to make this even more personal, why are we learning the east direction from in this perspective? The idea for this whole course is to help us understand the different initiations and places that we encounter ourselves and as other people as we step into our essence. So this is a birthplace because the east direction is the birth, is the rising sun, but it's not so much of a birth like a baby, but it's really the spiritual warrior or the one that is the soulpreneur, the one that connects to their heart. It's the first few steps of that. So if you're as a practitioner looking at this, for me, just keep note here because this is something I look when I work with people, like which path are they on, which part of the path are they on. Some people basically just say that like they're getting this calling to do something, or their life as it is too gray, and now it's time something needs to move in them. That's really the beginning of this first path of initiation. And I would say that it's not just like a first time in your life. In a way, I'm going through this again. Honestly, every time I teach the medicine wheel, I start it over. But it's whenever you're hatching up another egg, right? It's whenever you start another or open another layer, another level, another klipa is being peeled from your essence. And how do you bring this beautiful essence into this reality? And that's what we're looking at. And we're going to talk about different symbolism and how it feels like so we can identify it within yourself each time it happens, but also with others. And then hopefully you can help them because the idea of this as a medicine carry, I think, is how do you hold space for others as well? It's all around the path of service. We're walking each other home. And that's the idea. Context. All right, so here's our few points, right, of to know that you're on this path. Opa. Okay. So we talked about the colors, and the colors say a lot. I've studied also light language and like energy healing through colors. And here, so I want you to feel, that's why we started with the journey first. What does it mean that it's pink and yellow love? Um, we're all pink inside. So there's something about unity, no matter what color on the outside, which religion we're from, like wherever it is, we're all pink on the inside. So there's this true, like, raw essence of love that when we step out into this first path, that's that pinkness that I think, for me at least, that's what I connect with. And that's every sunrise, we can remember that. We're all pink inside. And yellow is really this beautiful, not fluorescent white light, but yellow is warm fire, sun starting to say like, "Hey, I'm back. I know I was, away for all this night, for the dark night of the soul, for example, or 2 years of war or whatever. But hi, I'm peaking. I'm peaking." So I think that also, for example, if we look at least here in Israel, that's what I've been feeling, that we've started the first path again the minute the war has ceased somewhat, and we're starting to see a sunrise of something. It's a time of everything is out there in the open. Like a day could be, the best day of your life, the worst day of your life. It's all the options are there. But it feels refreshing and it feels like we got this. Like we might have some control if we can hang on to the energy of that pinkness and yellow of a sunrise. So it's these all possibilities. Um, as I said before, it's connected to birth and the springtime. So I wish this is in a way we're doing this in the winter, so it might feel a bit off. But the East, the birth, the spring, there's no accident that we have Passover, Easter, all that Easter. You see that with the East all happening in the springtime, eggs and bunnies, and it's talking about the birth or the rebirth of the land of another cycle. So that's why we're connecting it to the spring and or the second spring. So spring can be a season, but it can also be an internal season. So although we are in the winter, notice where you are in your own internal spring, for example. Um, yeah, there's Allison's gonna share more with us about angels, and there's an angel for the east direction as well. But here I thought it was nice. I talked about how if you look at more old art and architecture, many times we see angels depicted as babies or little children. And I think that's why it's that idea of like the closest to source, that pinkness, that pure essence, of the spring, of the east direction, which is the beginning, but also, like we said, this is a perfect time to look back and see also the end. So it brings a lot of wisdom, but a lot of purity within that wisdom. It's like, although it's the beginning of this day, we still have the wisdom of all the other days, and yet this is a brand new day. So that's the idea. And so it goes back to, if you remember in our intro, when I talked about love, the frequency of love, the fifth element, it's really touching that again, which is why we again saw it in the journey. The east direction and the first path is layered with this idea of like different initiations. There's a lot of initiations, new things happening that have never happened before, or something that's happened in the past but in a different way. And it has this in transparency, the talk is about how everything is more translucent. So again, we're all pink inside. It's the idea of like we haven't yet like became our skin, our our skin and light hasn't like started like getting browned or taken in the sun rays, but it's more translucent. So they say that within the east direction, we're the closest to spirit. It's when spirit touches earth for the first time and say, wake up. And in that place, it's like we can really touch spirit. We can see it. It's like babies again. When you see, first of all, their skin is also very translucent. If you looked at a newborn, you can see everything happening inside. But it's also really seeing God or great spirit, like transcending directly into a physical body, a vessel. So that's that idea of transparency. The vessel hasn't hardened yet. There aren't all these walls, barriers, limiting belief. It's just very transparent, very translucent. And that can happen to us again, like, even if we're not babies, when we're starting this new path, when we're awakening, all of a sudden all these barriers kind of fall down and we become very, very sensitive. And lastly, I did mention that, but here it's here again. It's the wake up call. And I wonder, actually, does everybody know what I mean when I talk about the wake up call? Do you have a question about it? Because I do. That's one of the clear signs of a first path. So I'm making sure that we all understand what is this wake up call. It's usually after a big turbulent time in our life, whether it be a change in location, job, um, divorce, anything like that. That could also create a wake up call. So it's this big like chaos, balagan in our life that like finally lets us reorder everything, for example. Okay. So moving on, but then again, if you want, you can always ask or even just bring up whatever reflection comes up for you. Moving on. So I did speak about how it's your physical body connecting to the spiritual body. There is the sense in the first path of sometimes, like another interesting sentence I hear of the first path is like, I look in a mirror and I didn't know who I was or who I am anymore. And it means that you're realizing that like you're trying to synchronize, you're trying to match your spirit, your soul with how you look. And if you've gone so far away from it, you might not recognize yourself anymore. But within that, there is the understanding that you remember your truest essence and that you've maybe gone far from it. And now you want to go back or go forward into it. So with that, there is the sacred responsibility for yourself, for your own physical home, your human body. Understanding that it's about your choices in life. If you don't recognize yourself, if you feel too puffy or too this, like what are you doing with your own physical body so you can create this strong vessel that can withstand this new journey that you're taking? So we might lose a lot of weight and not even realizing. We might start noticing what we're eating. We might decide we want to go to yoga or anything that's like physical embodiment of spirit and movement and starting connecting energy with the physical body. All of that are pure signs of the first path. Um, and again, because this is the beginning and this is a spiral, okay? a circle, meaning in the beginning, again, this is the place where you can see the end. So right at the beginning, that's why I started with the journey for you. Right at the beginning, you are at the best point of view, at the top of the mountain to see where you're going. It's like I can see it later on in the journey where things get murky, or so, like, all these trees, you can't see the forest. But here, it's all clear. You haven't fully done it yet. You might not even know what it means or how it feels, or maybe it feels weird, but you are in that optimal position to see towards the end of whatever you're stepping into. So using that future insights, really, I feel like slurping it in, like and you might even go and do different things like vision boarding and going into meditation classes, and all of a sudden this image comes. There's a lot of visions that come in that first path, although you don't even know, or don't need to know how you get there, but the visions are there, and it's important to record them. It's important to write them down. Anyway. So this path is also seen as this rite of passage, which we also see is like embedded in our culture. So all different rites of passage from youth to adult, because this is like owning yourself, being your own person. All of these relate to the first path of initiation, or the East direction. So things like a bar mitzvah, confirmation, walkabouts, these big gates in our lives. Some traditions still have them, some don't. But if it's not something like, embedded in your own tradition, it's things that happen, like moving to high school, or something happens in that age. Or for girls, we start our blood around that time. For example, we become a woman. So all these different parts that, like, say, like, you're no longer this little kid and now you're a baby adult. Because that's really what it is. It's not a real baby, but it's a baby adult, or a baby awakened soul, starting it off. And so you can have the vision of what you want to become, and yet also the understanding of how much is there for you to learn still. So it's also the beginner's mind, and I think humbleness comes with it. The rites of passage. So again, noticing that within your life. Um, because of the opportunity for these rites of passage, this is a great time to make intentions and to speak directly to spirit. We're so close, spirit, God, whatever you want, that unseen realm that we understand that we're in partnership with. We wake up to realize we're not alone, that we're loved, even just by this beautiful cloud, pink cloud of love that is always there for us. And at that moment, we're able to announce our intention to it. What is our mission? What do we want to do? It's not about how do we do it. How do you want to be of service? Because it's the beginning of being of service to yourself, to your community, to the cosmos, if you will. It's understanding that's what happens when you turn into an adult, right? So, like, you're no longer just for yourself trying to get by, but now you're here also to service. And what is that announcement? How do you meet spirit halfway? How do you make a spirit pact? Um, and then lastly, that I remember from a client that, like, she talked about her wake up call, and when she was like awakened for the first time after being divorced, and people started like talking to her on the street, and men and all this stuff, where she was just magnetic. I just remember that. So I wonder for you, do you remember that time where you've woken up to something, and all of a sudden the whole world starts smiling back at you, and it's absolutely you, because it could be someone that just like yelled at someone else on the street, but now looks at you and say, "Booba, you're so beautiful. Have a wonderful day." There is this inner light that starts shining brighter from within us, and it is acknowledged by our, by the outside, by the external environment. And that's another sign that you've just started that first path, that you've set yourself on the east. And again, like, this is I've mentioned this before, but the first four paths, we're kind of taking them all together in parallel. And we can do it more than once. Again, notice how many eggs you have. Each one of these eggs will have to hatch, and the hatching is the first path. So it's like it's multi-layered. So it's important to see like, oh, this part of my essence is in the east, while this one is in the west, bichlal. And well, you'll get to learn it as we go ahead, but that's why we're learning about the different signs of them, so it'll be easy to chart. So yeah, there's this the when you have this feeling of this newfound clarity, something is like now I know what I'm doing or why I'm here. I remember in my awakening, it's like I guess I didn't fully know yet, but the first thing I started hearing, my clairaudience started full on in my grandmother's attic in Brazil. It's another story, but I started hearing healer, healer. And I thought someone was calling my name, but then I realized it's saying healer. I didn't even know what it means by that. I later on like found out, hey, that's what I am. I didn't fully even own it until recently, if anything. Only now I realized that my soul has been a healer for so many lifetimes that it was literally shouting, healer, you didn't hear, it's a healer. But that's what I mean by this newfound clarity. All of a sudden, like, oh. And so it's clear but yet unclear. It's confusing. Some kind of like what Ronit was mentioning. That's why I was like, oh, you're in the east. You're in the east. It's weird. It's weird. I'm not sure, but it's new and it's different, and I'm going for it.
I
Um,
have one question
yeah, go
because
ahead.
I feel I already said last time I'm in the East mostly, and this inner light and magnetic and this calling, and a lot of that is, as you know, like very strong for me the past year. But also I'm losing it again and again, and then the light is not there, and I'm like, well, things are not clear. Is that then where when you say that we are kind of, I think I'm confused about, do we have other parts that are in another direction, or is it then a different
Exactly,
thing? Like,
exactly.
or we
It's
just
more.
lose it? Like, I'm a bit confused about what that meant.
Sure. First of all, yes, you have different parts that are in different directions. It is confusing. That's why I'm doing it actually very like I'm saying it's as if like we're talking about one element, although all of the no element state is on its own. So it's like that with the directions as well. So it's hard to separate, and yet we have to. We're trying to forcefully separate here just so we can understand the essence of the East. But once you start setting your path on the East, immediately you start moving into other directions. And as we start looking, like our next one will be South, you start losing that as well. You lose it to refine it as well. So, and that's what I mean. Like when I first heard healer, up to like now, years later, we're like, oh, now I get it. It's just more about, remember I said the vision, or for me it was audio, whatever, just holding it with you even when it's dark, because it's going to come back around. So it's also meant you're meant to also forget what's important. That's why I'm saying, like, get a stone, write it down, like remember what this essence is, because you will forget it, you will lose it to refine it again. And there's different parts that if they're not all in sync, for example, for whatever you set out to do on the east for this one part, needs these other parts to come along, and they need to, get online. So now you kind of pause this and go to those, and it's an interdimensional play that happens. I keep trying to figure out a way to show this in like a 3D form, but you can think about it. That's why I showed this, right? The help me. I always forget the name of this.
Dancing the Dream.
Maze?
No, I know, but
Labyrinth,
this.
the labyrinth.
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 Yeah, the word labyrinth, I keep forgetting. Okay, so this labyrinth, see, first of all, it is spiral, cyclical, but you can imagine as if there are different parts of yourself in each of these lines. And we're going from the far corner here. This is the beginning. When you start a labyrinth, you go from the far. And when you go from the far, you can look at the center. As you start going into the center, you kind of lose yourself. I don't know if you've done a labyrinth before, but you get completely confused. But at this stage, you see this clarity. As you move in, you start losing it and losing the directions. So think about like we are multidimensional. All these eggs that you've seen, the eggs that you've seen now, these are all the different parts of you that are walking on this wheel, on the spiral in different places. I know, don't try to get it here because it's very, just feel it more. But thank you for bringing up that question, Lisa. That was important. So it was actually Allison, I know that you meant to talk more next time, but see what I'm writing here, it really has to do with something that you've shared with me earlier today as you prepared for this class. This makes order in our chaos and realizing our role in maintaining peace. And you shared with me something very beautiful about chaos and what is chaos in terms of how you bring all the elements together. If you want to share, you can. I'm just wondering because you brought it up.
No, I think you heard it in a special way, so maybe you share it.
Ah, okay. I
Yeah.
will then. Well, thank you for sharing. So
Yeah.
I will actually share what Allison shared with me today. It's short. So you can see what this beautiful idea of chaos, because at this time it feels like everything is in chaos. By the way, not surprising, like I missed the date for this class somehow, although I wrote it many times before. For me, it was a perfect example of that, how like chaos happens and then you're supposed to like reorder, make order out of it. And that's also another part of the East direction. So I was like, of course, I'm in the East. Here, I'll share what it says here about chaos. Your chaos is not a flaw, it is unfinished integration. Your contradictions are not sins, they are raw materials. Your purpose is not perfection, it is balance. That's what you shared with me today, Allison.
Yeah, it was amazing. That's the post I shared with you that pops up.
Yes.
Yes, that was
So
like we had this whole conversation, and then my husband sent this post, and it was like all the elements and talking about how they're constantly moving and evolving and layering on each other.
exactly. And so, because this is also here, moving on to the element of air, we talked about it before, is starting to represent the element starting from the air element as it touches Earth. It's like everything kind of splashes like a bird's like egg that falls on the ground. But then we start collecting those pieces or seeing if we even need them, clearing that up. It's just all a part of renewal, transformation, and integration of spirit in form. So I like the newfound clarity is like there's all this, it comes right after you feel you're in complete chaos. And it's not a coincidence. Nothing is wrong with you. That's why I really liked the quote that you shared, and I think I'll share it with everybody after. It's like you're okay.
Yeah.
It's coming out of balance to find a new balance.
Yes. And also we'll share more next week, but I loved also the example about this sign of air or this element of air that it constantly like if someone's on a walking on a trapeze because they want to get centered or balanced, they have to constantly go like right, left, right, like tiny little steps to the right and to the left is actually what's going to bring us balance. If we just tried to keep on like I don't know who here is trying to be a trapeze artist, but like if we're just on the tightrope on that wire and trying to go straight, we'll never be able to make it. They can't make it that way. Probably Brianna, you know more about that with acrobatics, but there's like tiny little constant movements all the time. And the elements like air can't be air alone without everything else.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And I think, I don't know, I'm not a bird that I know of, but I feel like when I watch birds, I think it's the same with the birds with the wings, right? They're not just flying straight. They're doing this. So they're always balancing the right and the left wing in that central column. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
Also, as you were speaking, I remembered a quote that I loved that it reminds me also of what Lisa was saying, the information and the inspiration that's coming in, the information is information. So it's being shaped, like it's like you have this wave of the eastern light and the freshness that's coming in, but it's still information, which is inherently not linear. And anything that's information, if it's static, it's not being shaped. So yes, the inspiration comes and it motivates this movement and this change and this like freshness, but also it comes with it the uncertainty because of the new. And the light can't always stay in like a homeostasis. It's like it can't stay just in that shade of lightness. It goes through its fluctuations. So with your
Yeah.
share, at least I was thinking about that a lot. And then Allison, the
Yeah, like it's moving. It's constantly
information.
moving
Yeah.
and evolving. And
Um,
anytime we try to stay still, there still has to be a little bit of movement. Otherwise, we wouldn't be alive, right? If there was just like nothing.
And
So,
also that's the idea of the sunrise, right? Like with sunrise is not frozen. It's like it's just a couple of minutes, and even then it just keeps moving and shifting, and the light is different each time. I think that's a good even like for Lisa, what you've mentioned about like, well, then I forget or then it misses. It's like that's exactly it. It like that just shows you that it's moving, that you already movement. What I said before is like, oh, I guess you moved one part from the east already to the south or to the west. You know, it's moving. It's information, informing. Beautiful. Um, So this we also talked about that like in the east direction, although air and we think like all airy and not in body is actually where the air touches the body. So it's another place where you remember of your physical form and remember the sacredness of this physical form. Not just your own, but everybody. You know, understanding the sacredness of the physical and how to keep it that way. So we get that's why like when people awaken, all of a sudden again it's like mind body you know and mantras and meditation retreats and all that. It's not to get out of the body, but it's actually to sanctify the body, understand it is a temple. So that's another thing that really opens up in the east, and it's a great opportunity. I just love people in the east. It's the best place to work with them and like create big shifts. It's the easiest from all the other directions, I think, is like finding people that are on their east, and it's like, oh, you're ripe, you know, you're not ripe. You can also notice when they're right before that. So that's like when you work with people, is to notice like where are they like ready for you to, you know, take them on the next step because they have to take it. You're just, you know, just giving them a hand. They have to be close to that edge. Um, yeah. And how can I be of service? It's really a big question. Like, how can I help others, humanity, and myself even? How can I be of better service to my own body or to my own family, to my people? Um, the beginning is at the heart. I think, is it like that the heart is also the first one to start forming in the I think something with the fetus and the heart, when like the heartbeat starts, that's when you know it's viable, when there's life. So I think I don't know about the tree of life with Kabbalah, but I know at least with the chakras, and when we talk about how they develop from the root up, we think it all starts from the root. But that's not that's not actually it. Everything starts from the heart space and it is a spiral. We will learn in the last cohort, I've been wondering if I will teach it again, but I think I must. We will learn it later on. It's a deeper practice that's called the death spiral, which is actually how you work with the chakras from the heart space and create these spirals around. And by that, this is actually an ancient way of how to open the energy body, release that, you know, release the soul out of the body if someone dies, for example. But it's also done in different rites of passage. Like if someone, I've done it a lot, for example, in starting from the heart space for women that are moving on from like full on motherhood now to like opening their career. For example, like that's been a big deal because when there aren't actual traditional rites of passage to something that is obviously a rites of passage, and what I'm saying, it'll always start with the heart, and it's still the east direction. So it's very heart centered, and the air element is sitting in the heart, right? Think the lungs, breath, the wings, right? Our hands are also said to be extensions of the heart. So how can it be of service, right? Makes sense? Now, again, because I said, like, well, as we develop, maybe we start just with the root. It's really at the heart level when we heart centered, when we're ready to give back, when we're ready to show up to our community. So it's when we're ripe enough. So it's not just when we're born. It's when our soul is ripe to shine. Ta-da! This is a fun one for Chagit. Chagit, you should take it. No, but I think you can talk to us a bit about it. I'm laughing because Saturn return is another sign. Is another sign. It's a rite of passage that hasn't been celebrated in our culture. The closest to it I've seen is like the connection to the 27 Club, who are people who have left our world, died like shooting stars before or at the age of 27, which is right before their Saturn return. So I'll start from the end there. The reason why it's called the 27 Club is just because of that age. But when I researched like the more esoteric teachings, like, well, how come? How come these like big stars, talking Jimi Hendrix, um, Janis Joplin, um, what's his name from The Doors? Okay, but like different, and I think Amy Winehouse also is one. Recently, we have a new shooting star. Bob Marley apparently not. It was later on, but still a star for me. So the idea is that if they, because it's about coming into your full soul's purpose in this life. So there's like just a question. I don't know if it's real, but just something to play with. Is it possible that these people left us because their soul has already completed everything or what it needed to do? They were already in their full essence and maybe a bit too soon, for example, before they were able to be in that heart-centered place. They say that also with the chakras, they develop and we mature into them every 7 years. So if you do the math, around the age of 28, really, that's when you start centering around the heart space. And that's when, between 28 to 30, that's when we have something on the solar astrological scale that's called the Saturn return, where Saturn comes right where it used to be when you're born. So it has to be with your birth, and it said that that's your full spiritual birth. That's when now your full solar purpose and alignment is ready. Some people that have gone so far out from their purpose will be shaken. They'll have like big things happen at that time. And some people maybe very little because they are already on their path. But that's the idea of the Saturn return. And then along with that, it's like having a lot of energy, a lot of oomph from the stars themselves to be able to make those big leaps, those big changes. So people that you see, they're going, there's also other returns later on in life. So, and I can see that as well. So I think, what is it, age 47, but it starts at 44. That's another one. And we have like the midlife crisis. That's one to show that. So there are different parts where we get that. But Saturn return is said to be like the first one that we get another like jolt, like when someone goes put the cable on the car, is like wake up. That happens to everyone that has the opportunity for that. And then it's another opportunity to work with them starting from the first from the first path, from the east path, knowing where they're at. Does that make sense?
I have a teaching that I can bring next time exactly about what you said. You channeled exactly the same thing that the Zohar teaches about that. That their
Fun.
souls like came there, they corrected their nefesh and the next level of the soul. Like there's a whole teaching about it. So I can,
Right. If they have already
yeah,
done it, like been there, done that, like what's the
yeah,
point? It's only gonna descend and kind
yeah.
of ruin the light, you know? There and it also like I also read somewhere that like someone's death is as important as the life in terms of like the stars and when, but in this case it's not when for the person, but it's when for the others that are experiencing the death. So, you know, in this point, like the fact that they died or why, or like I know this had to do also with drugs and abuse and like the entertainment industry. This has a lot with, it's a part of their mission is to also do that. There, like die this way to shake us, to have like a wake up for everybody left behind.
Yeah. That's what happened, by the way, to this our friend's son that died last week.
Right.
He was exactly, it was like a few days before 27.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, which did a huge wake up and shakedown of many people. So we thank him for guiding us in spirit. Brianna, you're unmuted. You want to say something?
Yeah, I work with a lot of people in this age range, in my day job. And I almost feel like I get a lot of eye rolls when I say, "Oh, you're about to go through your Saturn return." Like I get this combination of like eye roll, but also maybe a little bit of curiosity. So it's also just like interesting how like that comes up to like a normal like a person entering into that phase. And it's like I want to give you tools to help you through this, but like I have to be met also with some sort of like openness. So just thought I
Right.
would share that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's knowing when and how, but also I think that's part of those rites of passage. I do think maybe in on old ancient cultures or whatever that this was known and celebrated. That's why it's being taught from astrological reasons. Like it's being taught, it's known. It's just that we've forgotten so many passages, so many rites of passage that we go through, and this is one of them. So even if they're not ready for whatever you're saying, just the fact, sorry, that you're putting out the word is, you know, that's your purpose. Um, it's bringing back online. Before I move on, Hagit, do you have anything to say about the Saturn returns?
Uh, For sure, I can have so many experiences of that magnetism. It's like, first of all, Brianna, what you were saying, I've met a lot of people in my like field of work, area of interest who moved from like high tech jobs or a particular path and then like broke out of that particular mold and started pursuing more of like a consciousness path and going to all kinds of festivals or going to Thailand and just like really breaking out of a particular identity that was from the previous portion of their life or who they thought they would be and starting to come into awareness of these different parts or like Hila said, a different sense of purpose. But I can say from the reason she was laughing is because actually the time that I started working with Hila in a container was my own sensitivities were waking up really strongly, and so many of the people who were waking them up were Saturn returns. It was like I could feel their energies so strongly, and yeah, Hila helped me work out how to work with that. But it's a really it's a rich time. It's like you feel that sunrise energy coming out of them and it's very magnetic. Yeah.
Yeah, and they feel like they're in complete chaos and mess, and you're like, no, you're amazing, you're
Yeah, you're
shining.
doing great. Yeah, you do great.
Very confusing. Okay. I think here as we went further into it, we just kind of talked about it, right? So, why is it called the Saturn return and why Saturn's? Because Saturn is considered the great teacher. It's the sage, the wise old man. So again, it's like they say that the sage sits on the top of the mountain and waiting to come to it. So It's the air point, right? It's so funny because it's the beginning. It's the beginning. It's like a seedling trying to, but at the same time, you're closest to the end in the beginning. So although they're 28, 30, some people that are within their Saturn return have this wisdom upon them from like already seeing or maybe connecting to other lifetimes of like reconnecting to the sage within them and starting to walk the path of the sage in this life. So it's confusing. But connected to the higher heart specifically, and then the voice of consciousness. This means, like I said, like starting to hear healer. I think that story came from my Saturn return. I think, yeah, I was 28 when I heard that. So like you start hearing you have the ability, I'm sorry, you have the ability to hear your higher self, for example, or that higher teacher, that sage within you. Um, and it's
I,
immediately, yeah,
sorry, I feel
no,
like I'm just trying to think, and for me, I cannot recall during my Saturn return that there was, because for me it was later. The only thing I
yeah,
can recall is that I dated a lot of 27-year-old like in the last years, and I was always surprised how unclear they are and messy, like and I'm just, but for me, I'm not so sure. Like my path started way later. Is everyone having the Saturn return? Should I look for it more, or is it like, okay, not for me so strong? I don't know.
I think that it's a good question. Not everybody has it on their Saturn return. I think it has to do with your soul and what it you're right. Before you come in, you make different points, and a lot can say like I'm gonna use, if I lose myself, I'm gonna use the Saturn return to come back to myself, like you sign on it. And I think many do because you have the ability to, but others say like no, I have a better time to do it, like my time is a bit later or something, because but it still happens, right? That's what matters, is that it happens. That's one part. The other is that you can have a wake-up call, but you're just not ready to answer it. And that happens throughout. That's why I'm saying I'm also meeting people later in life. They're only now waking up to their calling, is because and they might have had like this big turmoil, something happened around that time, but it didn't shake them up to like wake them into their duty and responsibility to be of service, because they were doing something else that it's still very important. Like they're still finishing up karma probably, and more like internal cycles to be able to now shift into the greater good. It's all a part of
I'm
it.
thinking,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, at that age, because I thought about what Lisa said, where was I at that age? And I'm thinking, that it is the beginning of my mother, I mean, of being a
Right.
mother. And in a way, being a mother is like to feel everything again through your children, because it's like they are born and then you are born again, and you like you have a cycle again of all the life when you are with children. So for me, perhaps it's it's that. And now, when my kids are old enough, now it's like about myself again. It's like a circle.
Exactly. I
So
think,
I don't know, Lisa, if it's
yeah, that's one example.
relate to.
Exactly. The journey of motherhood. That was your east, that was your
Hmm.
first path, your first
Hmm.
initiation to
Yeah.
the egg of motherhood, for
Hmm.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Cool. Okay. All right. More thoughts and like signs, symbols of the East. First of all, I love that the sense of smell. So apparently, smell is the first thing that a baby also works with, right? It smells a nipple, whatever. That's the first sense that's fully alive in us as babies, is a sense of smell. And when you say like this smells funky or this smells weird, like it's really your ability. Here I'm bringing the sense of smell to how do you read energy. We take it for granted, but we might smell like, and by the way, motherhood, I think that was another really cool thing, like being pregnant, is that your sense of smell becomes so much more heightened. I remember I could smell the rotting fruit before anyone else could, before tasting, before anything, because that's survival. So it's like waking up to your all of your senses and realizing that maybe the first one you will is your sense of smell, and we miss it. We all try to like have visions, you know, or maybe hear things or just know, but the smell is the first one, and it gives you a lot of information. Like I said, like you can smell when something is aligning for us, is good, or this stinks, right? We use these words in our language. Ah, something smells off, or it funky, all this stuff. That's you speaking energy and sensing through the sense of smell. So think about just like this is the beginning of like fully conscious being, and the first thing you're gonna feel is the smell. And how does it smell? The other thing is that smell reminds us, gives us memories. It connects to our emotional field and then gives us memories for it. So for me, for example, if I need to connect with my grandmother, I start smelling the smell of boiled milk. That's how her house always smelled like. And all of a sudden, like, I'll have a whiff of it. Why? And what does it bring to me? So maybe this is smelling of, for whatever my grandmother represents, right? So, like, thinking of just like all of a sudden, I smell, who told me, like, I smell this like perfume I haven't used in a long time, all of a sudden, right? So it's like, oh, why? What does it tell me? So really noticing that, and that's coming in the East, and it comes and goes. Um, so really an ability to connect with that and with deep old memories and how they've shaped you. Also, how does sunrise smell? How does the dew smell? What does it mean? Um, so here it's interesting because you can, in the east direction, first you can feel like, oh, I'm ready to like give myself fully to humanity and help everyone. And at the same time, it always has to start with yourself. Remember what I said about like the body, the physical body. So it's really this balancing act that Allison presented to us as, in this east direction, is the balancing act between fully taking care of yourself versus like with the intention to take care of others. Basically, it's like that statement of you cannot fill anyone's cup from an empty cup, right? Or I guess you say it differently, but it's, so you can't give from an empty cup. So understanding how vital it is to fill up your cup. I remember that for me in this time, I also got divorced. Like a lot of things happened. I became, in my view, but I couldn't help it, very selfish. Like I had to take care of myself, and the people around me couldn't understand it. I was the one that was like the last to think about myself, helping others. I was invisible, and now I'm thinking about myself, like defending myself so much. Like, no, I need to take care of this and that, and like whatever. Like you matter, but not as much as me. And sometimes we feel like that's wrong, but that could be another sign of trying to rebalance. If you were too much for the other, that you became invisible and didn't think of your own needs and what you wanted, how can you be of service? Right? So you have to start like pulling back and maybe even seem selfish, but it's all about this balancing act, like pulling back to you and then back to being of service. So that ebb and flow from like being fully to yourself and then fully to the other, and noticing where do you break, and noticing that you don't get burnt out. When you get burnt out is the place. So how do you track right before that and take care of yourself first? That's also a sign or something that happens in the East. It's a gift. It's a gift that shows up in the East. Make sense? And I think it does, I'm reading what I wrote here, so it does relate to what we said with the fact that even like at 27 or 28, 29, we sometimes don't hear the call, because it's possible we do hear it, but we don't answer it. Notice here, we get to think about our own well-being with our service population, or choose to ignore and allow fears and limiting beliefs to take us on another subconscious cycle, right? So it's possible. And then we choose for a reason. Probably there's something else to learn there. And then we lose ourselves and then we come back to ourselves. There's always a way back. The beauty of the East is also remembering that we're souls and body, right? Birth reminding us of also our immortality and beyond it, infinity. Um, Reminding that we are infinite souls tells us that there's we can always go back, we can always fix, or we can always arrange. There's once we notice something, there's no mistake. We can redo, we can do more from a different place. So, lastly, this is the place that really connects with like owning the spiritual warriors in us. Um, and again, it's meaning because when you wake up in a society, in a place where most people are dormant or chose to go back into another subconscious cycle, many times it's going to be our closest, like our family, our family, our relatives, maybe some of our friends. That's why also a lot, we'll get to it in the next one, but it's when we start like letting go of connections that don't serve, not because we don't love them, love always stays, but because they don't align anymore with our essence. So that's the spiritual warrior essence, understanding, whoa, I'm in a different place. I've started this path that is a choice. I can choose to ignore it, but it's a choice. So the fact that you've chosen, for example, everybody chose to show up here today. It's a choice to show up and do something that others might not, and they'll live fine without it. They'll be okay. But for you, you won't be. For you, a soul is calling to walk on this path of service, of raising consciousness. Okay? So that's the sign of like you got your badge, the path that you're walking on, although it could be for different eggs, different meanings, it's all the path of the spiritual warrior. So that's what's being born. And with that, really, so I love this part. I wrote moving through life using and not abusing life force energy, which is why the way I talked about before about noticing how are you, do you give too much energy out? Are you not receiving enough? It's really learning to be in that beautiful balance, understanding what is energy, understanding that our words have meanings and they can, turn into things or activities. So taking responsibility for everything that we do, for what we eat, for the people we come in contact with, being basically much more mindful. And by that, using life force, but not abusing it mindlessly. That's another sign of, when we're starting to realize that. Even we can be obsessed with it back there. That's the east direction. Okay, well, we're a bit out of time, but we're in the last slide. How we doing? We're in the last one.
I just want to pop in and say that according to the last slide, it's really, really aligned because like the one central teaching of what we can control, like Kabbalistically, is our environment. Like that's really the only choice we have is who we surround ourselves by and what we put into ourselves. So it's like that's what's creating us. Exactly what's your teaching.
Exactly. And in the
Yeah.
East is you realize that. You
Yeah.
realize that because you don't before. And I just had someone here that hasn't stepped into his path. And it's like I was trying to say things that are just like going, it's just you're not there. You're not yet realizing how connected this all is and the responsibility you have. Yeah, so it's just that first step, that realization, that's the clarity of the East Path. So it's about that balance that we talked about, giving and receiving, and in harmony, understanding your internal cycles and external cycles in this path, first path in this direction. You have synchronicity everywhere, but here it's like abundant, where, when you keep going on to different paths, you're like, whatever. Yeah, I see all these numbers, this synchronicities, this coincidences. Yeah, whatever. Here you're like, oh my God, that cannot, how did this and this and this happen? Like, it's just because you're finally paying attention. The truth is, it happens all the time, but you're finally paying attention and it's fresh and it's new. So that's another thing when you see people like noticing their synchronicities.
Actually,
Um,
it's
yeah,
really funny, Hila, because what in also like in Judaism with people who like Chazara b'tshuva, it's like tshuva is a return as well. And so it's also said that when that light is coming in, when people are awakening to that consciousness in Judaism, that also it's like just like full of synchronicities and like all of this light showers that are like leading you towards yes, I choose this. And not only I choose it, but the feeling of being chosen, like it's leading you, it's guiding you, it's supporting you in a certain kind of way.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's the energy. That's the energy of the East. Thank you, Hagit, for summarizing. And for the end of the slide, I just love the picture of that spiritual warrior. Notice that it has this eagle and the wings, and that's exactly, and well, the moon probably, but like I'm thinking of the egg. Really think about if we go back to the beginning of class with that journey, that's you were actually birthing. You see, birthing and birding your spiritual warrior. So if you want to go back there and realize and even say like what is the essence of my spiritual warrior? And that's your kuya, that's your stone for the beginning of class today. Yay. Thank you. Um, our time is up, but I'm here if there's any questions or reflections. I'm happy to hear. If you need to go, I understand. It was a lot for everyone. We're good. We're closing. Okay. All right. Um, so like I said, I will also open up a WhatsApp group. Send me a personal message if for some reason you don't agree with that. I think it will be nice for everyone. I will even like send in like the PDFs, the recordings there as well. So you'll get an email and you'll get in a WhatsApp group and you can share any reflections. And just like, so I would say for the WhatsApp group, a challenge. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks. Yeah, we're on board with that. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks, and until then, I would love to see in the WhatsApp group if you can point out like, oh, I saw this sign, like, oh, there's the east, like examples of the east direction, example of the first path. If it's personal, if you're seeing it somewhere, just share. Okay? It can be completely out of context. That's fine. Just bring it in. Let's collect it and hold that energy. Birds, air, all the stuff we shared. So let's see what comes up for you. Amazing. Thank you so much for
I,
joining. Yeah, Lisa?
I do have a short question about
Go for
the
it.
stones, actually.
Yeah, ask.
So I saw a blue stone today, right? And that was for the east. So is it like trying to find a stone that's close to what we saw? Or is it like because you said maybe we're going to crystal shop,
Yes.
maybe I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
connection. So
Exactly. My recommendation is to try to find a stone that's similar to what you saw, or at least gives you that same feeling. That's what I asked, like, what are you feeling? And then connect it. So thank you for that question, Lisa. That's great because if it wasn't clear, I'll write it more in an email later. Really, we're gonna start creating our medicine bundle. And this is going to be our first stone. So find it later on. Also, I'll share with you next class. Like we'll get a fabric going and everything. But for now, start collecting stones and specifically find the stone to represent the teaching from today or the journey and really be with it. You can sleep with it under your pillow. Like be with it. Journey with it until our next class. So you can really bring your essence to it. This will be your first medicine stone or second, depending on your paths around the wheel. Thank you, Lisa, for asking. And you can ask more in the WhatsApp.
I
I
have
have a
also a
question.
question
Yeah,
just regarding the direction in the body, because I mean,
sure.
how we found the directions in the body. I mean, if we are
Mhm.
doing like body work.
That's a good question. I think the direction in the body is tricky because first, and I talked about it with Allison actually, maybe in the next class about the East we can touch more on it because I believe we will. But the thing is, the East really connects with the heart chakra and also with the root. And if it's the beginning of a journey, really, but it's more surrounded around the heart chakra. So in the body, I would still either the front or the back of the body here, the wings, right? And what you're carrying, that's like the area of the body that I focus on usually. Um, to make this short, I guess. And Hagit, do you have something to say about it? Do you have a feeling since you're an embodiment expert?
I like what you said about wings. I find myself often cleaning wings,
Right.
and areas around the shoulder blade, the back door of the heart, where like past
Mhm.
stuff lives and you're kind of moving things out of the way. But I think when I do body work and I'm thinking about East, I'm often like looking more for the feel of where they're at and then looking in their body for where they feel things in their body because I don't think you can fix exactly where. I think different bodies have different vulnerabilities that store things in certain ways, and for sure there's a lot of information with respect to chakras. I use that a lot, but then also there's just the individual body and where it goes. So,
Exactly.
curiosity.
Right, right. I love what you said. So it's like really it's within the body, but not necessarily a specific part, although we are talking a lot about the hands and the heart and the back and the wings. But it's really where the person is at. And like you said, then they can store blockages or issues around it that won't allow them to fly,
Mhm.
basically, or to soar because of it. And it could be anywhere in the body. So I love that. Thank you for uh, focusing, zeroing in on it. Thank you. Ronit, how do you feel? Was that okay?
Thank you. I'll think about it.
Can think about it. All it will come all together in the end.
What was I missed the exact question about the embodiment.
Oh, so Ronit asked, where is the east in the body, in the
Oh, got
physical?
it. Okay. And so what the answer is not directly heart.
We said it can be heart and
It can
hands,
be,
but
but yeah.
what Hagit was mentioning is that don't just, and it's a really good advice for everything. It's just because, oh, it's there, I will look there. It's not necessarily that. It's more about if you're working with the whole person, the energy, and then you realize, okay, it's something that has to do with the Eastern path, the calling, the awakening, but maybe wherever it's hurting or clenched is somewhere else in the body. It depends on their own sensitivity. So don't like stay, focused
Yeah.
on just this area. That was the answer.
Also, I wanted to share because when I collected my Mesa stones, it happened in a like I my first stop was the crystal shop, and I think I bought like 12 stones in the crystal shop, but eventually some of those stones got replaced with things I was gifted with, things I picked up, things that came from elsewhere. So you can
Same.
definitely get some, but also like things will arrive or be found in different ways.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for sharing that too. Beautiful nuggets of wisdom,
I
stones
think
of
also
wisdom.
to answer the question about where it is in the body, what comes to mind also is to like sometimes it's because if it's hard and it's maybe connected to love, it can also be the opposite, which is fear. Like the opposite of love is fear. So you can actually
Yeah.
ask your body where it's holding fear and get the
Mhm.
answer to come through. Like if it's a personal question that you're asking about, like where would that be in your body? You can ask your body where it is holding fear, like kind of to back on what Hakit's saying,
Yeah.
and then, work on releasing it from that place or adding more air.
Beautiful. Thank you for those answers. Thank you for enriching us. Yeah. Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday or end of your Sunday, depending on where you are. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank
I'm
you.
so
Bye
excited.
bye. Thanks.